Hi everyone, welcome back to Spiritual Growth Tarot. I'm Denise and this reading is for our Sunday, December 27th, 2020. So what do we need to know in order to heal our souls and come back home to who we truly are? Okay, so we have for the theme the Seven of Swords reversed. Now I like that actually. It's the best card to have reversed out of the swords because it's all about not being deceived. When it's straight up, it can be somebody getting away with something, right? Somebody even stealing something. This can be the card of like scammers. It can have to do with any type of deception or manipulation or any type of betrayal, of course. It can sometimes be about a mental test. So when it's reversed, that brings us back to the place of, well, if we're dealing with a liar, now we know. If we've been dealing with a cheater, now we know because they got caught. But on a more like a deeper spiritual level, it could have some of us in the place where we're feeling like we're caught and we're trapped and we don't know which way to go. Well, if that's the case, just go inside and find where maybe you haven't been completely honest with yourself, especially as to like what you truly want in a relationship or out of life. Because coupled with a Nine of Wands reverse, this card feels to me like just being a little more defensive than anyone needs to be. But it could be that you're exhausted by whoever was deceptive. But it could be that your feelings are shut down because you've been hurt and betrayed in the past. And so now some stagnancy has set in. And the stagnancy is tied to, this defensive stance that you're taking. And the only way out of all of this would be, of course, to go through it, to go through the feelings. Because when you get through the feelings, then you get through the blocked energy. You get through the pain that needs to be gone through. And whatever has been unexperienced in the emotional body, that will create places where we get stagnant and places where we don't have the physical energy, and it keeps us, stuck in this defensive mode. So to move forward, and to actually move forward quickly, because the Chariot is all about, your soul journey. On a spiritual level, it's about your soul journey. It can sometimes be about traveling. But let's stick with the soul journey for a little bit, because this card is all about success and progress and moving forward. Now, we can't will our feelings to, we can't will ourselves to, to feel. But what we can do is to open. And rather than getting caught in an area of your soul, which we all do when we go through any type of wounding, any type of painful experience has us, or has within our bodies and our souls, which are the same, one and the same. It will be, like Barbara Brennan called it in her book, Hands of Light, she called it a psychic frozen time conglomerate. So in order to heal it, we have to go back through it. But when we do, there's a lot of payoff in that. because then you end up moving forward from your inner being rather than your outer will, rather than your outer like ego will, which has to rein itself in and make sure that it's going in the same direction, which would be, the middle way that is more balanced. That's always the task with this card. But if you're coming from your inner being, there's you're coming from like the highest realms of spirit, because they, that's what flows through your real feelings. Your real feelings come through, it's your spirit coming through you. It's not coming from the mind or the will. It's a spiritual essence that's moving through you, because it's who you are. It's your higher self and your divine intelligence. That's the gateway to who you truly are, is to go through your feelings. But you can't do that until you go through the energy blocks, until you go through and the energy blocks will keep magnetizing the painful situation back to you over and over and over until you go through the pain. So you might as well not avoid it. Don't numb out from it. Don't, get stuck in because this card can be like avoiding something, hiding something, and then it keeps you stuck in a defensive stance. And none of that needs to actually happen. That was the way you probably survived as a child, when you were little, would be to just run and hide, or stay small, or suddenly get small and be quiet. But now as an adult, it's not going to move you forward. You have to go through it in order to get your emotional body flowing freely, so that you're moving forward in life coming from your real feelings rather than emotionally reactive material. Because the emotionally reactive material, just remember, it's always coming from the past. Always coming from the past. There's no power back there. But we do have to go back into the feelings in order to heal them, and then everything flows freely. It's actually a really beautiful thing where when your consciousness is open and when it's in alignment with truth, it's in alignment with all the spiritual laws. So it's actually a really beautiful thing where the spiritual laws will just move through you, like very, very organically. And it'll be in, like I said, in like the middle way that's very harmonious. And because you're moving towards the truth. So if you're always wanting to get out of the past and be in truth, then you're going to go back and do the emotional work that you need to do. And then you'll be able to move forward. But if you don't, if you want to stay back here to the degree that you want to stay in the defensive stance, because you're afraid of anything, then what will happen is that your life force kind of turns against itself and you stay stuck. And that's why, if you're in this place, get up and move around. Just get up and physically move around. And it doesn't have to make sense. It can be walking, dancing, stomping your feet, kicking your legs. It can be marching in place. It can be getting out in nature is the best. But if if there's a snowstorm and you can't, just anything around the house, just get up and move around. And if it brings up feelings, and you have to cry, because that will cleanse your soul as well, and it'll get everything moving just the way it needs to go. And so, like I said, you can't make yourself feel anything. You can't will your feelings to come through, but you certainly can. And I'm talking so much about the feelings because this card is ruled by Cancer, and it's cardinal energy that moves forwards, and the cardinal energy is like all the cardinal energies, Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, are very dynamic. They are like angles that get you moving. So to remember that, to work with your emotional body, like every time you do that, just every time you work through an emotional reaction, you free up a part of your inner being, and then you can move forward. And then instead of the energy, your life force working against you, it's going to work for you, because you'll feel it. I mean, you'll feel it, and you'll just intuitively, like instinctually, know which way to go. That'll bring in like the Aries presence that knows which way to go. Like, the Cancer is like the feeling presence of, or the feeling energy of shifting something emotionally. But then the Aries pops in and goes, oh yeah, I know which way to go. And you won't even think about it. You'll just be doing it if you go with your body. And then, that's the places that put you into divine timing. So sometimes it puts you into like the gateway of Libra, where you connect with somebody else, or it's just a connection, not just, but a connection with your higher self. And then, then that brings you into the gateway of Capricorn, where you have divine timing that can come through. So this is a really important card when it comes to moving forward. So when you do that, then we'll have more love, more joy, more positive pleasure, more happiness, more energy, better health, more life force flowing through you. And then you're more like true to yourself. And you're in touch with the life stream. You're in the benign circle of love and abundance. And your guidance system works well. So let's turn these right side up and see what happens. So what if this is a test, a spiritual test? Or what if this is an emotional test or a mental test? What if there's no difference between the spirit, emotions, spirit, feelings, body, soul? What if it's all one? In the truest, highest realms of spiritual reality, nothing is separate. So what if this is a test? Because I look at the sevens as being decisions and tests. What if this is a test to persevere and go through whatever feelings you need to go through so that you can move forward? Because if you do that, as we get in touch, every time we get in touch with our inner being, we're going to be creating and expressing from our inner being. So therefore, we're going to have happier relationships and more loving experiences and more, like effortless, benign circle of like giving and receiving. That can just become effortless, because it's one and the same essence. Giving and receiving, it's all the same. But if you're flowing and moving in this way, like in a centered way, not in duality, not in the black or white duality, but in the center of your being moving forward, then of course you're going to be more in touch with reality and less in any type of illusion. And then you'll have more experiences of just, that positive pleasure of being aligned with the life force in you and everywhere. So going through any emotionally reactive material that's the perseverance that we need. That's with, the Nine of Wands, that's what gets us in the place where we're courageous. And it might feel like an ongoing battle, but that's okay. We can persevere. We can drop into our, resilience. I mean, we'll find our resilience through that effort, that daily effort. So, yeah, I think this is all about the spiritual test that tests us on all levels, not just mentally, to persevere. That will keep moving us forward. So again, like I said, if this happens to be one of those days where you're feeling stuck, you might want to check in and figure out what are you defending against feeling? What are you defending against doing? Find the defense. Find the defense, and find the like the cramped soul substance. Find the duality. Find the place where you're in this like either or, like life or death. Needing to win or lose, needing to be in pain or pleasure. And just know that when it comes to life on earth, there's always going to be a bit of a dualistic test, and as long as you don't have a demand for life to be 100% your way, you're going to be doing great. But this defensive stance would be against feeling a real feeling. And it's full of, like hard pain and resisting a real feeling. But if you can allow yourself just to go into it, then it turns into a soft pain that's actually a really beautiful experience. And then the life force starts flowing again. And just to know that when we're in those places where we're stuck like that, that's where we have like our receptive and our active forces kind of like switched and cross-wired. And we just need to know that. That's all. We just need to know that and set the intention to get things going in the right direction and be willing to feel all your feelings. You can't make them happen, but you can be willing to feel them. And to, be willing to get out of the duality and the fear. Because any type of emotional reactive material, that doesn't mean that we're bad. It just means that we're afraid of fully feeling something that happened to us in the past, because we're afraid that if we go back there, we might die. Well, the truth is that a part of you will. An ego fragment will die, but it doesn't go away. It just transforms into the true healthy, spirit that you truly are. Because that's the way it works in the universe. Nothing, you can find this in physics. Nothing ever dies. It's just transformed. So when this type of energy happens, or when we're faced with this place where, we're afraid of getting caught, or we're caught in our soul substance and we're in a defense, it's really just a message from our soul that's calling us to look at where we're in duality and where we defend against some old pain that we've previously, numbed off to, and, maybe even refused to experience, maybe even rebelled against it. We can turn that all around if we just are willing to go through that, or not just, it's huge. If we're willing to go through that test and to persevere and not be defended. We don't need to defend against it. We don't need to resist. This goes with that old saying, like resist not, or it's futile to resist. You don't have to resist anything that's inside of you. Nothing at all. Facing everything inside of you will bring you forward. Everything inside of you that you decide to face will bring you forward. It will set you free. It's, again, like that old, Carl Jung quote, I'll say it forever, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So we don't need to do that. We want to bring in more power. We want to move forward. And for those times when we are stuck, when we do get stuck, when we are like caught in some soul substance, it's okay. Just know that you don't have to resist anything inside yourself. Don't judge it as being bad. Just look at it as being something old in the past that you had to endure, and to access those real feelings of what you did endure is actually a tremendous amount of courage. It takes a tremendous amount of courage, but you'll get through it. It's funny, you know, a lot of people aren't afraid of feeling physical pain as much as they are as feeling emotional pain. And I think it's because they think that they'll get lost in the emotional pain. And I'm here to say that you won't. You won't. As long as you're committed to not hurting yourself or others, you're going to do the best thing that you can do in your life is to feel your emotional pain. Because if you won't feel your emotional pain, if you won't grieve your past, who will? Nobody else can do that for you. So, again, like I said, you can't make yourself feel anything, but man, when those feelings come through to heal, definitely be grateful, because they will set you free. They will truly set you free. Might piss you off at first, you know, but it's okay. Getting through them will set you free. And anger that comes up, if anything does piss you off, that's okay too, because that's available life force. You know, anger turned against itself, you know, against the self, can turn into disease. But anger that is healthy and felt, as long as it's not, you know, projected onto someone else and wanting to hurt someone else or hurt yourself, it's actually available life force, which is a really beautiful thing to get in touch with, which is, you know, what I like to call healthy anger. Because, you know, there are things that are unjust in this world, and they will make us angry, and they should, so that we can, you know, stand up and fight against that in, you know, in a safe way. So I think that's it for today. I thank you for listening. And if you, like I say, usually if you have any questions, feel free to comment. I do personal process work of this nature. It's kind of my thing. So you can check underneath in every video. I always, in the description area, have a link to my website and how to book a session or a reading or a combination of a session and a reading, or even astrology can be involved. So yeah. So with that, I will say goodbye. Okay, you guys, take good care.